All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Skeptalk Live, episode number 42. Gamer News Party, how you doing? We have everybody back on the show tonight. It's an exciting reunion of Shayna and Jason joining me for Skeptalk Live.
Got through the finals.
It's been so long.
Yeah, well, I mean, school is an important thing, so we gotta make sure you guys get all educated so that you can carry me later.
Exactly.
All right, Shayna, how are you doing this fine Tuesday?
Very good. It's spring break, and I've been playing so many video games.
Grizzly, thank you very much for the 100 bits. That is a great welcome.
Dancing Fidel.
The GTA 1 crew, how you doing? Angry Cicada, the feedback is perfectly fine.
What up?
Gamer News Party, once again, welcome. The sky is all up. That is correct. So, Shayna, sorry, you were saying you've been playing a lot of video games because it is spring break, and that is
Spring break.
that's a good
Like
news.
full-time jobs worth of hours.
Nice.
Well, actually, more than that.
Twisty Top
Honestly.
Hatter, welcome to the conversation. Jason, what have you been doing with your spring break?
Pretty much the same thing.
Right?
I got a bunch of really important stuff done over the weekend, so I've spent the past 2 days gaming hard. Sea of Thieves and today some Far Cry. Bah!
Did you
Yeah,
see?
we've had some good Sea of Thieves runs.
Yeah.
Did you see
What's up?
the user data, the reviews for Sea of Thieves have finally been leveled out?
Mm-mm.
No. What did they glean?
Arguably, it scored the same amount as No Man's Sky.
For what exactly?
Yeah, user reviews and critic score.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Pretty
So
low
is that No Man's Sky pre-launch or post-launch?
post-launch.
Because it did really well post-launch.
Yeah, everybody's complaining about the fact that it costs $60
I'm not at all surprised.
and it has
It-
almost no content. So
the
that's-
potential is, well, it's content farming. I read
Right.
something about that. Where
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, I will say this: it's fun as fuck.
right.
So I'm like, the content might not be there, but the replayability is fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
I know I was having this thought earlier. I think it would have been better if this was like early access, and they developed it a
Yeah.
little more. That would be, I don't know why they don't do that. I don't know why more game companies don't do that. You end up with more seed money. You could better,
For
end up with-
$30 cheaper.
potentially, and end up with a better game and please your customer base more. But
Right.
we'll see what happens with this game. I think that there's the potential for them to update it to be more interesting. I don't know though.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on if they continue development, continue to deliver stuff, it might eventually be worth the $60 that they're charging.
True that.
Right.
I don't think so right now, though.
Right.
But
That's part of the big argument is that, say, this game is comparable to, say, PUBG or Fortnite, right? In the way that you are just playing with a small group, and there is PvP, and there's no real story or whatever, right?
yeah.
PUBG
There is progression, though, where there isn't really progression in PUBG or Fortnite.
right, but I don't think it's $40 more worth of progression.
Yeah, I would
Right.
agree with that.
So yeah,
Definitely.
definitely. If they keep going and then eventually release enough to be 60, I think that these user scores will recover.
Yeah.
The technology is pretty dope, from what I understand.
Really fucking smooth. Like, it's a great. I forgot who did the review, but I completely agree with it. It's like a great base game, right? Like, if this was the base of what a pirate game could be, that's fantastic.
Right.
And
right.
I hope the next pirate game that comes out takes this model and improves it and actually adds everything everybody else wants, like crafting and building a base,
right.
and more than 4 people on a giant boat.
Right.
Yeah, right. That's very true.
I do like
a giant boat that they had to make a little easier than it really would be, because you'd only get max of 4 players, but it still can, you need the 4 players. I don't know. It's kind of
right. GTA Crew says
the goal is you're trying to get to the higher like echelon like legendary pirate status, because then it opens up like a ton of new kinds of missions and stuff you can do.
From what I heard, the goal of
And
the game
so,
was to collect
great.
chickens. So
No,
That's funny.
that's
Absolutely
funny.
not. You want to go for skull
There's
forts.
like
Fuck
basically
chickens.
there's 3 factions. One of them is it's chickens, snakes, and pigs. So it's like not a whole lot to do yet, but I don't know if they're going to expand on that. But you don't have to pursue those missions. You can just go there's various different ways you can play. If you just want to sail around and pretend to be a pirate, be silly, it's fucking fantastic.
right.
Like, I don't know, people expect a lot more, and believe me, I'd be happier with a better game, but I don't know.
Agreed.
I'm not sure I want to pay $60 for it though.
Right.
That is.
Yeah, you're on that part.
I'm also just taking jabs at a game that I don't play. So.
Yeah. Anybody can do that.
I currently,
I
have not decided to pick it up because I can't play with more than 4 people. So. When it happens, I'll do it.
The free Xbox Pass is the way to go with it.
Yeah,
right?
that like GTA Crew says.
Yeah,
yeah,
you get
except
14
you can get
day
it for free. You don't have to. Yeah.
And then
I also wanted to point out
$10.
a couple of other comments that were said. DTA Crew also said that every game right now is just a glorified beta, and
that's pretty fair.
Right, and Gamer News. Oh no, Witless Wonder. That was the most complaints I've heard is that no real role, which we covered. So good.
Oh, I was just gonna say I agree with that. A lot of games are basically in beta. I just wish that game companies could recognize that and not charge $60 for the titles that
yeah,
they need to do a little more with to make it worth $60.
Right.
Or just come out with fucking complete games.
More right.
You know what I mean?
Imagine that.
My audio
I
sounds
like
off, kind of like echoing with a twang.
I don't hear that.
I don't either.
Let me know if there's anything else. If anybody else in the chat is noticing that, I will see what I can do to correct it. All right, so let's get into the news. Once again, this is a fair use talk show, and what we're doing here is considered commentary, criticism, and parody, and news reporting, because this is a news show. Okay, so apparently my audio is being weird. Let me check voice meter to see if anything has gone crazy. Everything seems to be fine right there. Let's go take a look at the mixer. See if... Aha, wait a minute. I bet I've got...
Is it just Udo that's sounding funny, or is it all of us?
Yeah, is everybody sounding off, or is it just me? Yeah, just me. Okay. Huh. I got an idea. Let me go over here. We'll unmute. You guys will hear something weird here. Is that here? We'll unmute. Yeah, I hear something weird. I do sound really. Okay. Let me make sure my microphone is actually on, right? How does that sound?
Try to
Does that
show
sound
this
any better?
fair use thing in it. No, now you sound like you're in a tin box way far away.
All right. I've restarted the thing. How does that sound? Sounds like a phone call, not a mic echo. Properties. Timestamps. I didn't change anything on my soundboard. It's been the same. Is it too bad to continue the episode, everybody? Because if it is, we can restart the episode once I redo some stuff. All right, show must go on.
Chia.
Exactly. Goddamn Chia.
Or Russia. We just could have been Russia.
All right. Well, fair use. We already covered that. Now we move on.
Motherfuckers.
Here to He Did It, an update story. So, the Flat Earth Rocket Man finally took off.
Oh, and
yeah,
Yeah.
What happened? I didn't know. I haven't been paying attention. I didn't know.
Well, technically, I think it's his second launch, right?
This is
He
the
launched horizontally,
right,
like 4 or 5 years ago.
right, but
with
this
the
is
original.
right. This is his first upwards launch.
Yeah.
Mike Hughes, the rocket man who believes the Earth is flat, propelled himself 1,875 feet into the air before a very hard landing in the Mojave Desert. He survived. That's an important thing that everybody needs to know.
Yeah, that's good.
Turns out there's something about this that I didn't know. This was a steam-powered rocket.
What?
Yeah. His rocket was steam-powered.
That's pretty badass, actually.
Right. Pretty damned cool, right?
Yeah. That's way cooler than him. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Humorous Party says, does he still think it's flat? Yes!
Of course he does. He didn't go high enough to see the curvature.
Right.
1,300 feet in the air. Fuck, dude. You need to go like almost 3 times that, or at least 2 times.
Right. Would one of you guys look at how tall the Empire State Building is real quick? Because he may not have been able to launch higher than you can just ride an elevator to. So he said he was relieved after being checked out by paramedics when he crashed into the ground. The rocket did do what it was supposed to do, and the nose crumpled in 2 different zones. And so it would have been much worse had that not happened, right?
Yeah.
So his design...
It's 1,454 feet.
So he got 400 feet taller than the Empire State Building. And the Empire State Building is not the tallest place. It's
Right.
just...
It's pretty damn tall, though. I've been up there. It's fucking...
Right.
It's pretty impressive, at least.
But I don't believe
Steam,
it's curvature of the Earth type height.
Nowhere near it.
Yeah.
I love it, Twisty. Thinking of a fantastic steampunk flat earther novel about this dude and the reality he lives in.
Right. Exactly.
So the curvature of the Earth is visible at 10,600 meters.
Right. So the 61-year-old
So
limo driver... Yeah.
35,000 feet.
He needed to go much higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
35 times.
The 61-year-old limo driver converted a mobile home into a ramp and modified it to launch at a vertical angle so he wouldn't fall back to the ground on public land. For months, he's been working on overhauling his rocket in his garage. They launched at 350 psi for maximum thrust, but it dropped to 340. Eventually, sometime around 3 p.m., without a countdown, he just rocketed into the sky. He reached a speed that Stakes estimates would be around 350 miles per hour before pulling his parachute. He was dropping too fast, though, and he had to deploy a second parachute. The rocket landed with a thud, and the rocket's nose broke into 2 places, as it was designed to do. He still says that he believed the Earth is shaped like a Frisbee. And he's also, basically, he's in the hospital. So he wasn't seriously injured, but enough to definitely had to...
compact his back. Yeah.
Right, exactly. He does definitely says that his story is really incredible. It's got a bunch of storylines, the garage built thing, I'm an older guy, it's out in the middle of nowhere, plus the whole flat earth thing. The problem is it also brings out the nuts, people questioning everything, and it's the downside of all this. His future plans are very simple. Can any of you guess what his future plans are? Just throw something out there.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
Launch another rocket up and die in orbit like Challenger.
All right. Shayna, do you have an inkling as to what the Rocket Man's going to do next?
No, I don't. Something again. Yeah, I think he might try to do it again.
The answer is terrible.
I mean,
he's filling out
you have the
paperwork
answer.
to run for governor.
That's great. What are you talking about? That's amazing.
Where
does he live?
California, I believe.
Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. That state sucks anyway.
Good luck.
Right.
Yeah.
He said this is no joke. I want to do it. That is his quote. So.
Yeah.
Oh snap! I did actually have the animated version. Woo! This is the guy actually launching off. He's in that terrible
that's
death
pretty
trap.
impressive.
Right,
Like, he
but
got, what is that, 100 stories up? That's pretty tight, dude.
how quickly did you Google how far you have to go?
How quickly did I do it?
Yeah, a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Really
Right?
quickly.
He could have taken the same amount of time to go, oh, nope, this rocket isn't going to get that far.
Oh, yeah. He did. You know he did.
Right.
Right? Like,
This is all publicity stunt, so.
Yeah, exactly.
X-Flight says, how does a man who can make and launch rockets not know the Earth is round, right?
Because he doesn't account for gravity, right? So he's
right,
like,
exactly.
this is easy. I can do it, NASA did. I'll just build it off of old school train equipment.
So do you guys remember the petition I covered on Thursday about Trump and Biden and a boxing match?
No.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, so a company called Spinners has invited Trump and Biden to a boxing match at Le Sueur Park. So there is an official event with a date that is supposed to be there. The Lowell Spinners, a short season affiliate of the Boston Red Sox, are offering to host a boxing match between the President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden in response to their recent Twitter war. They have a date, they have a time, they have a place, and they have all of the paperwork ready to go. So all we need is buy-in from the two competitors.
Yeah. That will literally never happen, and I'm glad it will never happen. The last thing I want to do is watch a former vice president and a current president, who are also really old people, get sweaty in a ring together.
Right?
I'm 100% for this myself.
Exactly.
I mean, if you exactly
cancel both of their next plans.
I mean, I'm for it, but I don't want to watch it.
if YouTubers are going to do boxing matches, I think that former reality TV stars and former best meme ever stars should definitely be doing it as well. With a group of White House workers yelling, fight, 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 fight. Angry Cicada says. The DTA's crew says the loser pays the U.S. debt. Gamer News Party says YouTube drama becomes actual politics. Yeah. Let Bernie ref, right? That would be amazing.
You like that?
I do.
He's the only one who would do it fairly, right? He'd be like, all right, everybody gets to hit each other.
Right. Apparently, Spinners is also hosting a Rock'em Sock'em Robots Rumble event during the event, just in case the main title fight doesn't show, and for entertainment if the title fight does occur. So this is an interesting.
Pays the U.S. debt.
Right. This is an interesting. This is an interesting advertisement that they're doing here, taking a Twitter beef and using it for to get their Rock'em Sock'em Robot tournament off the ground. I think it's it's perfect. Awesome. Also, it gave me the chance to quickly Photoshop this image, which is actually from Rocky.
Yeah, I thought that looked familiar.
Yeah.
Shorts,
all right. Our next story is for the birds. Police are warning people in one Connecticut town, that hawks have been dive bombing and clawing at people's heads, and that they should be very worried. So far, 7 people in Fairfield have been attacked on separate occasions in the recent weeks. They say the hawks have been flying out of the sky and clawing people directly in the head. The attacks
That's awesome.
Yeah. The attacks have been reported on Old Mill Road, Sycamore Lane, and Henry Street, animal control officers have so far been unsuccessful in capturing and relocating the angry, angry birds.
When nature fights back.
Right.
By just making people annoyed.
It's
not like they're killing anybody. That's what's like so ridiculous. This.
Right, but I mean, hawks.
I vote for. I'm on Team Hawk.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'll tell you right now, I'm not. I'm on
totally
team.
am.
I carry a machete now because hawk attacks are real. Right? I got no problem clipping a wing. I'm gonna just tell you right now.
Alfred Hitchcock is smiling right now. GTA crew says. Yeah, exactly.
I got dive bombed by one of those fucking. What are those birds that we have here that are super aggressive if you walk under their nest?
Crows?
Not crows. No, the little ones. I forgot what they're called.
Oh,
Damn
I don't remember.
I guess remember. They're a pain in the ass, like especially in South Eugene and all over U of O campus. Anyway, one of them attacked me because I was riding my bike and I rode under it's on the bike path and it just it dive bombed me and I was stopped like what the fuck was that, like something just hit my helmet and I see it and I pull my helmet off and I wait for it to come back and I fucking nailed that fucker and then rode off, hit him with my helmet. I'm fucking very happy about that.
I was being attacked by a crow at a former place that I used to work. It was attacking people at the smoking section, right? And it just kept like attacking anybody who went out there. And I was unaware that it was doing this because no one was communicating anything.
Right, but people were assholes.
Right. All of a sudden, I get dive bombed by this crow, right? And I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck happened? So it flew up and then looked at me, and I'm like, it's gonna do it again. So I pulled my shoe off, and I actually like hit the crow in midair with my shoe.
Exactly.
It was the best.
So amazing. I did the same.
The smoking area was crow free from then on.
Nice.
Right, our next story is some troubling news for Philadelphia homes. Apparently, human waste, shower water, dirty dish grease, and other stuff that belongs in the sanitary sewer system all over town is apparently getting sent down the wrong pipes.
Gross.
It is heading directly to the waterways that feed the Delaware River, the city's primary source of drinking water.
Dude, this is like the third fucking thing like that I've heard this week.
Right.
What is happening?
Okay, so I read through this. This article is actually huge. I just grabbed some of the best parts of it. But from what I'm reading, there's a big problem with people when they're installing the homes, connecting the out pipe to the wastewater pipe, right? So like that's supposed to go off the side of your house, like water drainage, right? That type of stuff. They're just hooking your toilet straight to that.
What the fuck?
Instead of the sewage pipe. And
gross. Why?
Right, I don't know. Yeah, apparently. I'm assuming it would be funny if it's like an error in a manual somewhere, right? Like, apparently, 272 gallons a day is typically used for a Philadelphia home, and if there's a cross connection, that could mean 100,000 gallons going into the river each year per home that's causing the problem. And apparently, it's been years of department workers searching for these cross connections. So they find them and fix them, and then realize it's still happening. So I'm assuming probably like in the 70s or 80s, there was an error in a manual. It's like always connected to the green pipe or something like that, and the green pipe is the wrong pipe. I'm assuming.
Or some developer a long time ago got real lazy. Because that never happens.
So I was learning that apparently the way that they work on this is that they put colored water reactive chemicals down different drains, and then that reacts and turns red if there's like poop in it. So they like wash down, like there's this scene with this crazy green water everywhere is an average sight on the streets of Philadelphia because they're always working, trying to find these things. So it really stinks to live in Philadelphia, but I'm
right.
In other toilet-related news,
God damn it.
a Wisconsin police department has made a bit of an unusual request to the public on Tuesday after a specific woman's bathroom has been repeatedly clogged over the last year and a half, and it is something like 90-something times or something like that. So
what the fuck?
Yep. The Facebook post from the police department in conjunction with the Department of Public Works started with a simple request. Please do not place trash or rubbish into a public toilet. The big deal about this story is that the toilet has been repeatedly clogged with the same thing over and over and over again. And it's been a 20-ounce soda bottle. And the...
Okay, wait.
Go ahead.
It's been stuck in there?
So someone has been shoving a bottle into the pipes because they're always empty and they float, so you can't really flush them there. Someone is hand jamming a 20-ounce soda bottle into this specific toilet over and over and over again.
Wait, and it's in her house?
No, it's a public toilet.
Dude, that is a fucking dick move.
Yeah,
right.
It is.
And it's disgusting. There's somebody who's got a really disgusting right hand.
Right.
Though I'm
Gamer is asking why though as well. Yeah. The maneuver
got mad at the city.
Yeah, very possible. The maneuver has cost thousands of dollars for labor and repair, the police have said, in addition to the fact that the bathroom was out of service. Why do this? I do not know. But if you help us find the person, I will tell you, the police have said. This is very strange and gross, but that is the reality of life. The facility's toilet was clogged roughly a dozen times in 2016, 14 times in 2017, and 3 times, not 90, so I guess it's like 20, 30 times or something like that. In the specific city park that this is in. So,
wait, how many times?
20. Yeah, so about 20 times. But in the same.
That's got to be a record, right?
Right, but in the same way, with
most times somebody's put a hand directly into a toilet,
into a city park,
into a
public toilet.
Ugh, that's the worst thing ever. That's just like fucking hot dog and meth shits.
Right. Yeah, it's just terrible.
Yeah, that's really gross.
All right.
Toilet trolls.
Yeah, toilet trolls. Gamer News Party says 20 times too many. DTH Cruz agrees with trolls. X-Flight says never undercook someone's food. What?
I don't know.
All right.
I didn't realize it was a city park.
The next story is called "This School Rocks." A rural school in the district in Pennsylvania. Another Pennsylvania story. Enid down. Thank you very much for 200 biddies. Taking the #1 spot. Fantastic. So a rural school in the district of Pennsylvania that has armed its teachers and students with rocks to ward off potential school shooters has finally arranged for armed security in its buildings. So, up until now, this school's plans for in the event of a school shooting, that every classroom had a bucket of river rocks.
That was to stop school shootings.
Yes, right. To defend against school shootings, every classroom in this school has
That's a really weird.
A bucket of rocks.
Like, who thought of that?
Essentially fucked.
Right.
They're just completely fucked. They're like, look, we don't want to hire an armed security guard, so
Here's a bucket
let's
of
just
rocks.
not teach them the story of David and Goliath.
Right. Exactly. Hashtag rock control. Ban assault rocks. did they have slingshots? Resin asks. I'm like, that would make sense, right? I mean, it'd be better than expecting a couple of small children to stop someone with a rock.
With a rock, yeah.
Right. We always strive to find new ways to keep our students safe, Hassel told the Associated Press in a telephone interview, adding that the rocks are one small part of the district's overall security plan. Throwing rocks is more effective than just crawling under desks and waiting, and it gives the students and teachers a chance to defend themselves, he said. The district has about 2,700 students at the 3 elementary schools in middle school and high school. Staff and students in the Blue Mountain District have been trained in a program called ALICE, which stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, and Evacuate. And rocks are part of the counter portion of the training, fighting back if the intruder makes his way into the classroom. The buckets.
Okay, if they're going to start doing this, I'm going to start petitioning for pikes in classrooms.
Yes!
You just have pikes that you can pull up so that the guy with the gun would just run directly into them, right? Like cavalry.
Exactly. And just morning stars and bucket helmets, dude. Like,
yeah. And you have all the pikes just laying down the rows of the desks, right? So it's hidden. They wouldn't expect it. It's beautiful. They should just start trapping schools.
Witless Wonder says, throw the desks, it'll probably slow them down more. That's true.
Yeah.
I did have a teacher, right, who would do the emergency preparedness with us, right? And he would talk about, what I'm supposed to tell you you're supposed to do, is the way how he would preface it every time. Is like, get under the desk in the case of an earthquake. And in a case of fire, do this, etc., etc. And then he said, what you're really going to do, after he told us all the things he was required, was he'd point out the biggest kid in class, and he'd say, you are going to pick up a desk, and you're going to throw it through that giant window. And then we're going to knock all the glass out, and then you're all going to go into the yard, there was a huge, open area behind his classroom. Because then we're good for an earthquake, we're good for a fire, right? So that teacher was awesome.
Definitely not a good idea for a school shooting, though.
No, definitely not. Right?
Stand in an open field.
That was
everybody just
stand still, very, very still.
Right. That was pre-Columbine. So
yeah, of course.
Right. All right. Pure Terror is the name of our next story. Passengers have safely been extracted from a somewhat terrifying height. Mild panic broke out at approximately 1:20 p.m. on the 23rd of March at the Arakawa amusement park in Arakawa Ward, Tokyo. While in operation, the Family Coaster, which is, according to their website, and from what I could find, the slowest roller coaster in Japan, suddenly derailed, leaving 7 adults and 12 children suspended about 5 meters above the ground, which is about 16 feet. It was
goes to show you should have made it faster.
Exactly. It's reported that the wheel on the first car had disengaged with the rail, causing the entire train to grind to a halt. A woman in her 30s and her 6-year-old son were on the ride at the time of the incident and explained to Ashadi Shambun, I don't know who that is or why, but the coaster was moving so slowly, no one noticed it had stopped. No one on the ride realized that there was anything wrong until one of the conductors was all like, well, we've derailed.
That's like the worst ride I've ever heard.
Right, exactly. Why would you want to be the slowest?
They're like, get your books out.
For the 6-year-olds, I guess.
Although, once that did happen, panic set in. So this is another crazy part of the story. The customers began to call the emergency police numbers, and rescue crews showed up at the scene. And after 50 minutes, everyone was safely evacuated, which is ridiculous. It took 50 minutes to get a bunch of people off of the slowest roller coaster in history. How long did it take the operators to know this? Right, except 15 feet. You could drive someone's car under it.
Yeah, or just to have a really tall person and somebody up, like, you know, that. Jeez.
Netizens applauded the family coaster and celebrated the fact that they finally could be definitely called Japan's slowest roller coaster because you can't get much slower than 0 kilometers an hour. You did it, family coaster. Jeremy Bender says you could jump 15 feet isn't that high. Yeah, but I mean for little kids it would be. I survived farther falls without injury, Witless Wonder says. Risen says slowest roller coaster meets slowest emergency speed. Right.
Right. Beats shortest drop ever.
Have either of you two
this.
ever seen this image before?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. How about you, Jason? You ever seen
yeah.
this before? All right.
Yeah, I read this article this week.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Good though. I like it.
So it's very likely that a lot of you have seen this before. It's been used millions of times to prove the existence of aliens. Nearly 2 decades ago, the rumors began that the Atacama Desert in the northern Chile, someone had discovered a tiny mummified alien, right? An amateur collector exploring a ghost town was said to have come across the white cloth in a leather pouch. Unwrapping it, he found a 6-inch long skeleton. Despite its size, the skeleton was remarkably complete, and it even had hardened teeth. And yet there was a striking anomaly. It had 10 ribs instead of the usual 12, had giant eye sockets, and a long skull that ended in a point. It turns out, I thought that this was fake when I first saw this about 20 years ago, right? I was like, yeah, sure, somebody made a skeleton. Neato, right? Moving on. It turns out that this is a human. DNA evidence has shown that this is a human that very well may be suffering from an incredible degree of deformities, right?
Yeah.
That they're like rare bone disease mixed with hydrocephalia, mixed with all sorts of different things, and that this was
also with the fact that how old is it? Like
right less than 500.
Oh, less than 5. Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say humanoids going back, it's smaller and smaller, but.
Oh yeah. The elongated head is striking. It wasn't the strangest feature of the skeleton. Despite being the size of a human fetus and about the length of a pen, her bones were developed in some as old as a 6-year-old, right? So it's very possible that this was a child with incredible deformities that they were able to keep alive until about the age of 6 when they finally passed away from difficulties.
Damn.
Yep. Mixed with a fin coming out of the top of his head. Yeah, exactly. It was a Lannister, right? What were you going to say, Jason?
Oh, nothing. I didn't realize it lived that long.
Right. The bones were as strong as a 6-year-old, so that's what they're assuming that the age of the baby was.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right.
Cool.
Our next story is bad news for blockchain. I don't know if you saw the most recent controversy about Bitcoin.
I don't know. There's one every fucking day.
Right. So this one is legitimately fucked up. Like people using Bitcoin for something real bad, but they're not buying anything. So German researchers have discovered that unknown persons are using Bitcoin's blockchain to store and link illegal pornography.
Crazy. How does that work? Specifically Bitcoin?
Yep.
It should surprise you because the technology shouldn't be able to do that.
Right.
How does this work?
So the
I need to hear this.
Blockchain is an open source distributed ledger that records every Bitcoin transaction, right? But it also can store small bits of non-financial data. This data is typically notes about the trade of Bitcoin regarding what it was for or other metadata.
Fuck, they put it in the metadata?
Yep.
That's amazing.
But it can also be used to store links and files.
Yep.
Yep.
That's so good, dude.
Researchers from
Oh,
Aachen
shit.
University, Germany, found that 1,600 files are currently stored in Bitcoin's blockchain. Of the files, at least 8 were of sexual content, including some that were thought to be images of children.
Oh, that's really
yeah.
fucked up.
So real messed up, right? I would laugh and be happy if they were actually just doing porn coin, right, and just putting pictures of boobs in with blockchain or whatever, right? But but no, it's like this is something that could cause a serious problem for blockchain, right?
Yeah. So, well, for Bitcoin, right?
Right. For
Because
Bitcoin's
it's Bitcoin,
blockchain,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it could cause a problem for their blockchain.
Specifically,
Yeah.
No, that's fucking crazy.
This especially
That's
endangers.
actually a crazy oversight that, like, I never really thought about, because I did learn that you could add that, like, essentially you're just adding data to the transaction, right? You're adding, like, information. But the fact that they're adding pornography, that's crazy.
Well, okay. Willis Wonder says that they still believe it's an alien #cover-up. And Gamer News Party says SIA coin is actually utilized as a storage option like this. That may be where they got the idea.
Right.
Well, this especially endangers the multi-billion-dollar markets powering cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin. While the spending of Bitcoin does not necessarily require a copy of the blockchain to facilitate, some processes, such as mining techniques, require the downloading of the full blockchain, which means some people have downloaded illegal pornography.
Yeah, that's super fucked up.
Yep. Since all blockchain data is downloaded and personally stored by users, they are liable for any objectionable content added to the blockchain by others. Consequently, it would be illegal to participate in a blockchain-based system as soon as it contains illegal content. So, some people may get in trouble, especially if it's like a corporate situation. Some corporations may internally come down on some people who are working with Bitcoin inside of a corporation, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty disruptive to technology now. They have no choice other than to actually put in some fucking way to screen that.
Right, exactly.
Like, that should not be possible at all.
It doesn't make any sense, right? I don't think you should. You probably shouldn't allow anything but specific data.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, let's put in a video.
Gamer News Party says, well, I better go drill my hard drive. Fuck my life.
Good lord.
Shane, are you happy you haven't gotten into the Bitcoin madness now?
Oh, I was always happy. I never tested it.
Well, I got some.
Never seemed like I don't know. I mean, it's still going, but I don't think it's gonna survive. It seemed awfully suspect.
I've got some new technology for you to take a look at then.
What I do regret is having bought in early and sold when it was worth a lot, but not just the whole general, you know.
What if I told you you could get involved with a toilet that vaporizes poop?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm super good, actually. I want nothing to do with that.
I don't know how I feel.
I don't want to take the poop from my toilet and put it into the air. Not into it.
So, the iThrone is a technology that promises to solve the thorny... Right?
That's an amazing name.
Exactly. They promise to solve the thorny problem of how to bring toilet tech to the billions of people still using latrines or outhouses. About once an hour, depending on how your bladder or whatever you ate or whatever, you visit the toilet to do business. In most Western countries, the experience is pretty predictable. You sit on a white, mostly porcelain bowl, you do your business, and then you flush. You might not even think about it, right? But if you do take a minute to think about it, you're sitting on a wonder of engineering and of achievement, or a wonder of engineering achievement. It's something that requires complex sanitation systems marrying bacteriology and urban planning. the technical powerhouse that miraculously disposes of waste with just the push of a lever. For billions of people throughout the world, though, toilets are a luxury. So this is something that India could look into, right?
Yeah.
For many, a hole in the ground has to suffice, and there have been options over the century, but none have done much to figure out how to merge the hole in the ground with the toilet. It's a hard problem, and I think it's why it gets ignored, says Diana Youssef, the creator of the iThrone. What we are using is a flushable pouch. So what this is, right, is a toilet that you have a pouch that you would line the toilet with, and then after you're done doing your business, of which your business is 95% water, right? It allows the water to evaporate out of the pouch into the air.
No, that's disgusting. Fuck these people in this company.
Leaving nothing but 5% solid waste that can then be biodegraded.
Yeah, so you just want me to take a shit and just fucking leave it in your magic pouch?
Right.
For fucking however long it takes to evaporate? Fuck you. That's disgusting.
Does the toilet biodegrade it, or is that like a...
No.
That's like a...
You remove it and handle it.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
that's
just take
idea.
the pouch full of...
solve anything.
This is from India, isn't it?
No.
It sounds like from something from California. From like the what was that stupid company? The flavored water with the plastic, whatever the hell.
Right.
Hey, Udo loves Mio.
I love
No,
Mio.
not Mio.
I know.
It was,
Gamer News Party says, how is this better than shitting in a bag? It's because the bag lets it sweat out all of the water, which is totally not gross.
Yeah.
The technology is actually akin to the type of sweat-wicking sportswear you might use in a gym, which keeps you dry simultaneously while letting evaporation suck up sweat and other moisture.
No, it's not. You do not get to compare it to Under Armour. You sick fucks.
But it's trendy. It's got iThrone.
Yeah. Great name, by
right.
the way. I was mad somebody took that. But what the fuck? No. Where are they from?
It doesn't say in this article.
Yeah, it's India. Dude, it's gotta be in India. They have such a poop problem that this is the only time I could ever see this being, like, a better situation than what's already going on.
Right. Well, and then...
Instead of just pooping on the train tracks, poop into this bag.
And part of the deal is that you would save water on waste management. But I don't know if that's water you want back.
Yeah, and that's not that much water. That's not... No.
All right, we're going to move on to some cool stories.
All right.
Cicada, this is definitely one...
Wait, hold on. Before we keep going.
Okay.
This is a fucking coffee filter. These guys are assholes.
This is
they
definitely
made a fucking coffee filter and they're selling it to you for your
It's a
poop.
Seattle company, and it's looking like it's for
Makes
the
sense.
low-cost complete toilet solution and retrofits for high-use remote sites. So it's
Right.
just for like places where you have to deal with it anyways.
Yep.
Smelly vaults,
India.
shoveling non-composting toilets, or slinging waste barrels.
But it doesn't mean that people aren't going to install this in their backyards in California.
Right.
True.
In Seattle.
Right. And then they're going to tell you all about how their toilet sweats out water. And
Yeah. Oh my god, I just learned this was a thing.
Canada.
You guys may have heard of this, but this
Oregon
is so new
State
to me.
Parks is involved, Forest Service, Department of Agriculture, British Columbia, Canada, American Prairie Reserve. Those are all clients of theirs.
damn you!
Damn it, Oregon, you fucking idiots. Here's some did you guys know about, like, cloth toilet paper?
I've heard of it. I thought that it was outlawed because it's disgusting.
Yeah. No. Fucking hippies are bringing it back.
No!
I just found out about this. Yeah.
They put it in the washing machine.
There's no way this is real. so nasty. They're like, well, we use cloth diapers too. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm like, yeah, there's something wrong with that. You're getting shit all over the inside of your washing machine.
Just everywhere.
It's disgusting. It's all over all of your clothes. Don't touch me or ever be around me.
Exactly. Don't sit in anything I might ever sit in.
Yeah, fuck.
DTA Crew, thank you very much. This was one of my favorite pictures to represent cool.
Cloth diapers were a thing when there was a diaper service.
Right.
You didn't know that.
Right, exactly.
You didn't take care of those. You didn't take care of the diapers yourself. You put them in a receptacle. It's like your milkman. They come pick it up. They have their special way of sanitizing and then redeliver.
I just realized I have 2 M's in image, so ignore one of them.
Wait, what about the totally cool? What happened with it?
This is a cool story. This is the cool story.
Dude, I love that cool image. That's like back in the day. Fucking, I forgot what magazine that was in, or was it a show?
Game Informer, or Game Informer, or Nintendo magazine, or something like that.
Yeah, it's got Nintendo on there.
I remember that, dude.
So,
like, stay in school, also play Duck Hunt.
DTA asks if that's Johnny Depp. All right. So the problem, pollution from discarded cigarette butts. The solution, according to 2 Dutch industrial designers, could be crows.
Did you just find this story?
Yeah.
This is research that was done like fucking 15 years ago.
Oh, wow. It was published 3 days ago.
Yeah, that's interesting. They found crows. Well, go ahead and tell the story.
Right. So in crowded cities, a startup in Amsterdam is developing a program called Crowbar, which is it's a tool to train crows to collect cigarette butts and reward them with food in return. Crow's intelligence has been acclaimed by experts, including technologist Joshua Klein, who's known for his TED Talk, A Thought Experiment on the Intelligence of Crows. First, we thought of pigeons, which would have been great because there are so many of them. But unfortunately, there's not much research into pigeon intelligence, making it difficult to train them. It's estimated that worldwide 4.5 trillion cigarette butts become litter annually. And according to the American Non-Smokers' Rights Foundation, that means an estimated 1.69 billion pounds of cigarette butts end up as toxic trash every year. And many of the butts are not biodegradable. The waste is a danger to children from potential toxic exposure, and toxins in the butts can leach into water and kill or injure wildlife. But crows have proven with their tests with Crowbar that they can be trained to search the world for cigarette butts in order to receive treats.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
Dude, they made Pigeon Lady.
I think it was like six or 7 years ago I learned about this in a class. They were doing this research with crows, and they had this device that they'd click a bar. You put the garbage in, click the little thing, and a treat comes out. And very, very quickly, crows picked it up. And they were, so it's probably just taken this long for somebody to finally go, well, duh, we should fund this. This is a great idea.
Right, exactly. My only problem.
I heard about it literally 6 or 7 years ago. And I feel like it was kind of older news before that. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, at least something's happened with it now, right?
Finally, right? I think this is really cool.
I was just going to
wait till they actually start delivering stuff.
Right? Exactly.
Amazon Crow.
Yeah, that would be really rad.
It's like Amazon Prime, but it's Amazon Crow. That'd be great.
Witless Wonder just took the words directly out of my mouth. Crows getting too smart and begin attacking people so that they drop their cigarette butts so that they can get them and get a treat.
That actually will happen.
That's amazing.
And that's okay with me. You know what I mean?
At that point, is that a smoking cessation? I stopped smoking about 5 years back when the crows came.
Right. I'm telling you, just keep a machete. It's time to keep machetes, guys.
Exactly.
The birds are here to.
That is one way to quit.
All right.
I'm pretty sure that's just going to create the Pigeon Lady from Home Alone. I posted an image over for everybody. In case you guys forgot who I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right. So it's on to move on to Florida Man, and was it DTA who was in Florida now? Yeah,
GTA is?
DTA 1 crew.
Oh, DTA, yeah.
So this story is called "Not My Pants." Ucaloosa County Sheriff's deputies have arrested a man reportedly having several narcotics in his possession. According to the Ucaloosa County Sheriff's Office... Wait a minute. Hold on. Before we go any further, I gotta get something. This is important for everyone.
Okay.
I grab this for everybody. Here we go. Florida Man Bingo. Forgot about that.
Oh, excellent.
Journey, that's right, you do, Journey says. All right.
Oh my god.
All right. So, Ucaloosa County Sheriff deputies have arrested a man reportedly having several narcotics in his possession. According to the county sheriff's office, a deputy on Beale Parkway spotted a man asleep in a vehicle with the engine running at the convenience store. When he, after waking the man up with the canine with the deputy alerted to him that there may be something in the vehicle. Deputies found a black case in 43-year-old Chester Walker's pants pocket with heroin, crack cocaine, methamphetamines, fentanyl, aprozolam, quetiapine, fumarate, and a needle.
How? That's too many fucking things in one pocket. That's
Exactly.
insane.
That sounds like a sex party. Sex drug party,
that
right?
is sex drugs. Yeah.
Walker reportedly told the deputy that the pants he was wearing were not his. Walker has been charged with possession of everything. These are not my pants, officer.
Even the thing is even if that's a true statement, that is the lamest excuse to try to pull off at the last minute.
Right.
Yeah, why wouldn't you be like, what
even
is
if
this
it's
thing in this
true,
pocket?
come up with something more realistic.
Hey, buddy. Jasper, buddy.
Your dog agreed.
It's okay. The Florida Man won't get you. Jasper. Shh. He's so mad. He's so mad. Does this qualify as unusual loot? I don't know. I mean, if the police looted it, yes, but I don't think they stole. This guy didn't steal anything weird, right? I mean, the pure amount that he had on him, or the pure variety of sex drugs he had, might be unusual loot. You know?
Yeah, I'm putting it down as patriotism. So.
All right, so it's time for an interaction news story. Jason and Shayna, just play along with this part because we don't need to go any further into it. But your significant other has left you, right? According to Florida Man, how do you go about getting your ex back? Do you, 1, challenge them to a duel? Do you, 2, run from the cops? Do you, 3, steal their car and then get drunk? Do you, 4, shoot yourself in the leg? Do you, 5, break in and sleep in the tub? Or do you, 6, date her father or mother?
Definitely 6.
So is this what we would do, or is this what
No.
we think this person did?
Yeah, according to Florida
It's
Man.
a Florida person.
Yeah.
It's probably shoot yourself in the leg.
I feel like it's a few different things. Like, I feel like running from the cops is going to be involved. I don't know why it's Florida.
Witless Wonder says...
No matter what answer it is,
I'm gonna go
it's
with 4.
still shooting yourself in the leg metaphorically.
I'm gonna go with 4.
All right. Got a lot of 4s, a couple 6s. And Witless Wonder asked if it feels like we've had this one before, and that's because I have definitely put in past Florida Man stories in these, because that's fun. The DTA crew...
This happens every week.
This is a slightly different list of...
Right. DTA 1 crew says all of the above. All right. So, devotion. The breakup process was particularly hard for one South Florida man. Ivan Figueroa ended up in the hospital with a self-inflicted wound to his thigh. A move to win back his girlfriend. So yeah, shoot himself in the leg.
Winner.
Yeah, definitely shoot yourself in the leg.
Yeah.
It's like anything he does, he's shooting himself in the leg, really.
Yeah, exactly. According to the report, the woman in question broke up with Phil Guerra after he had allegedly cheated on her, but the suspect wanted her back at one point, showing up to her workplace begging and crying. On March 11th, the situation escalated, according to the report. That's when the 26-year-old Homestead man called his ex and informed her that he was going to shoot himself to prove his devotion. The body part the man allegedly chose to inflict the wound was his thigh, so that he could potentially hit an artery and bleed out, according to the report.
The fuck?
Yep. During their discussion over the phone, the woman could hear the sound of a gunshot, then screaming he needed help. She called 911, and when the officers arrived on the scene, the jilted suitor, whose left thigh had taken the hit, was sitting in the passenger seat of a car driven by an unknown person. The suspect was airlifted to the hospital following the surgery. He was arrested. According to the Homestead Police Department, he was arrested on Wednesday after being released from the hospital, and he's been charged with possession of a weapon by a convicted felon.
Wow.
Exactly. Next flight says date her father, works 100% of the time. Witless Wonder asked if this is domestic violence. I mean, emotional violence. That I would be real mad if somebody called me and then shot themselves on the phone.
Yeah. I mean, it's technically domestic violence, right?
Gamer News, I'm really sorry about your connection there. The VOD will always be up, so if you need that, that'll be there. In case you missed anything. This creepy-looking fellow here, on Wednesday night around 10 p.m., 26-year-old Peter Hinton was driving near Water Oak Country Club. The Longwood, Florida man was going 68 miles an hour in a 40 miles per hour zone, according to the arrest affidavit. When asked for license registration and proof of insurance, Peter pulled out a 10% coupon for Lowe's and presented it to the officer. Needless to say, right? Exactly. Needless to say, Peter was asked to step out of the car before the sobriety test could take place. He dropped his wallet and made no attempt to pick it up. He admitted that he'd had a couple of drinks at Chili's and he had lost count as to how many drinks he'd had. He later specified to another officer that he was drinking Crown and Coke. He blew a 1.59 on a 1.59G/2110L. I do not know what that means on a breathalyzer test. And went to perform several sobriety tests, including the Romberg with resuscitation. While trying to count from 1 to 50, he made it all the way to 27 and blurted out 36 afterwards. Then he mumbled 43, thus completing the exercise in his mind. He was he was arrested and charged with his first DUI offense. While en route to the Lake County Jail, he offered to give the officer a hand job if it meant he could get out of the arrest.
What the fuck?
His bond remains at $1,000. Dragon Daughter, thank you very much for 10 bits.
I thought I'd cheer for this winner here.
Exactly.
Right? Dude, like, at what point, like, how drunk do you have to be like, I bet if I solicit prostitution to this cop, it'll do me good.
Exactly.
That drunk. That's like a level of drunk.
Exactly.
I've never been that
drunk enough to...
DJ Anchor says, I told you he was a butt pirate. All right. Final Florida person story. Anniversary troubles. It's another interaction news story. Oh no, your significant other is at it again, and they have forgot your anniversary. According to Florida woman, what is a girl to do? Do you 1, sell his Xbox, 2, throw poop at him, 3, kill his dog, 4, ninja assassin attack, 5, sell his child, or 6, set his apartment on fire?
I'm feeling like in this case 1 and 5 are like the same thing.
We've got 6. We've got 5. We got 2 or 5. Another 6. All right. So, Twisty Top Hatter is the only one to touch base on it. Forgetting your wedding anniversary almost always ends in disaster, but for one couple, the negligent party found himself in a world of shit. Literally. According to Pasco County officials, 35-year-old Carol Lynn Stone became enraged after her husband forgot their wedding anniversary on Wednesday. During the ensuing argument, Stone smacked her husband on the face, head, neck, and chest, causing several scratches. At one point during the altercation, Stone pushed her husband to the ground and then flipped shit on him. The victim recorded the entire attack with his cell phone, which provided evidence of the incident to investigators. Officials cannot release this due to privacy policies. I think it's because she pulls her pants down.
Makes sense.
Right. Stone was arrested without incident and charged with domestic battery. She remains behind bars at the Land O'Lakes jail on bond status. Man, that is
crazy.
Yeah, that is the textbook definition of she be crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could have had one of those shit bags. If he had his evaporating shit bag, everything would have been good.
He married her.
Right.
Was there no signs?
Willis Wonder asked, was she just shitting into her hand and throwing it at him? That's the only thing I can imagine. Right? This was like a chimpanzee attack. All right, something we haven't had for a long time. If you got a bingo, congratulations. If you didn't, better luck next time. I've got a couple of faith palm stories. These are always exciting for me. I like them. Our first story is Jeebus Take the Wheel. An Atlanta area mother is now behind bars after she deliberately crashed her vehicle to prove to her children that in the back seat that God is real.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a crazy person. The crash was caught on camera Wednesday when the SUV went northbound across the southbound lanes of Peachtree Industrial and head into a concrete pole. Inside, Bakari Warren and her children, ages 5 and 7, all lived to tell the tale. No one was injured, but they definitely are definitely not happy about the situation. Officers questioned the children about what happened. The children said that she did it on purpose because she turned, her eyes were closed, and she was saying, blah, 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 I love God, said one of the children. Best quote ever. Okay, you said she had a car accident to prove that God is real, the officer asked again. The children confirmed Warren was frisked and handcuffed right after she got out of the vehicle. So, crazy. I mean, it's fine to have a religion, but definitely don't crash to prove that God is real. Like, that's not going to work.
Seriously.
Yeah. I mean, if I was some all-knowing being, I definitely would be all like, oh, well, I'm going to let this go. Right? Like, I'm just going to let you crash, right?
Yeah.
GTA Crew says, what the flying saucer fuck, right? Exactly. All right. Our next story, a Greensboro man claiming to be Jesus broke into a Pizza Hut Wednesday morning, called 911 saying he was starving to death. Here's the quotes from the 911 call. Yes, this is Jesus Christ, and I just broke into the Pizza Hut. 46-year-old Richard Lee Quintero told dispatchers around 4:30. Jesus is here. He's back to Earth. I just broke in, and I had a pizza. I'm Jesus. Quintero admitted to breaking into the admitted to breaking into the Pizza Hut on North Main Street, saying he ate pizza and drank Mountain Dew. When questioned by the dispatcher, he said, because I'm Jesus, I can do whatever I want. And then he's tired of the Judases on Earth. He later then said he was starving and everybody's been treating me mean. High Point police said Quintero was cooperative when they arrived and arrested him without further incident. He was charged with felony breaking and entering and felony larceny after breaking and entering. He was put in jail in the High Point jail at about $1,000 bond. Journey says, "Oh my God," and I don't mean him. He's a bad God. Willis Wonder says, "Hey, there's 3 hots and a cop for a while." Yeah, that's true. DTA Cruz says, "That man's a god." And then here is a crazy story about someone who is totally not involved with any normal religion because he made his own. A former Google engineer has founded a new religion to worship an AI godhead.
Shit. I like this one the most out of all of the other ones I've heard.
Right. Many people believe the singularity is imminent, the hypothesis that one day machines will be so smart that they will overcome human capabilities. Multimillionaire Anthony Lewandowski is preparing for that day by creating an AI-based deity for people to worship. In September of 2015, Anthony Lewandowski founded a religious organization, a church if you will, called Way of the Future. Its purpose to state filings is to develop and promote the realization of a Godhead based on artificial intelligence, and through understanding and the worship of Godhead contribute to the betterment of society. Way of the Future has not filed any forms with the IRS to qualify for a tax exempt religious organization, but it submitted documents with California that reveal Lewandowski and the group's CEO are present. At the heart of the trade secrets, the lawsuits between Anthony Lewandowski is at the heart of the trade secrets lawsuit between Uber and Waymo, Google's self-driving car company. According to Wired, in February, Waymo, the company Google autonomous car project turned into, filed a lawsuit against Uber, and that guy is also involved. So the big story here is that you can join a religion now to worship AI.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Right.
I mean, it's good.
That
is coming.
Yeah, when we do really build a god, we'll be on the first step, ready to go.
Yeah, you're right. We'll be the higher echelon, taking in the fucking money.
Right. All right. Time to get into some fun stuff before the main story. My favorite segment, stupid stuff for sale. Willis Wonder says, "Come on, you've met fat." Right. All right. Here we go. Just in case learning is hard, here is the manga guide to databases. Jason, are you ready?
I don't know if I am, dude.
We need to get this for you.
I don't know if we do. I'm fucking solid.
Want to learn about databases without the tedium? With its unique combination of Japanese-style comics and serious educational content, the manga guide to databases is just the book for you. Princess Rurana is stressed out. With the king and queen away, she has to manage the kingdom of Cod's humongous fruit-selling empire.
Actually,
go ahead.
This is a great idea. This is for you. I'm like for kids.
It's
for
fucking
kids. It's
solid on knowing that.
Getting kids interested in data analysis this way is fine by me.
Well, this isn't really data analysis. It's just databasing. Just completely separate.
Data, whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean.
It's structuring, and it's fucking awful.
It features an appendix of frequently used SQL statements and gives you the tools you need to create and maintain full-featured databases.
Yeah, and how to query. It's great.
Do we have a growing master list of these? Well, we should. I can just grab them from the previous videos. I put these on every video in the VOD and on YouTube. So, this Edu Manga book is a translation of the best-selling series in Japan, co-published with Oshima Limited.
That's pretty neat. I hope they do it with some other stuff too. That's pretty
neat. Well, apparently they do. They have for statistics and linear algebra.
That's pretty cool.
My math teacher, it wasn't a manga thing, but my math teacher was talking about he had a calculus for kindergartners book that teaches basically kindergartner logic, the underpinnings of calculus logic.
Nice.
All right. Here is a Windsor Ruby 2.45 carat that reduces high blood pressure. It's only $2,500.
About
And
time.
there's only one left in stock, guys. Better hurry up.
He also apparently has a Malaysia garnet that alleviates pain associated with arthritis and rheumatism, and a Savorite that is great for heart problems and disorders of the five senses. Also, both over $1,000 a piece.
Nice.
Because apparently rocks are what medicine has just been missing out on.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the untapped resource.
Journeyman says, yeah, you stab yourself with it, and the blood loss makes you lose blood, lowering your blood pressure.
Right.
Uh,
The untapped resource. River rocks.
Squabbly says, everyone knows we have 7 senses.
That's fair.
Here's something absolutely fucking abhorrent. This is the auto urine therapy book.
What?
You heard me.
There you
I
go.
don't understand.
Nature has gifted each of us with an elixir that helps us keep ourselves healthy and relieves us from many serious diseases.
Jesus.
This elixir
Yeah,
is nothing but
water.
our own urine. This book explains the miraculous efficiency of auto urine therapy. Read it and enjoy the everlasting good health. It's available with free Prime shipping.
I feel like this is somebody that got autoimmune and didn't realize that they said immune and just put urine like a foreigner got the wrong idea and went with it.
I heard him wrong, so I just started drinking my own piss.
What the fuck? Go ahead. If you think it's gonna help you, by all means, drink your own piss. I'm not
These
gonna
are the
stop.
same people that their children have gluten allergies.
Right.
And
they're the
vaccines
same
cause the
exact
autism, you know.
Yeah,
Right.
they're like, we need
Oh!
organic pink Himalayan
I
salt
wanted to
and
share
shit like
this
that.
with you guys. My biopsych class, one
Alright.
of the final questions on the test. It's fucking fantastic. Do vaccines cause autism? Absolutely not, and fucking no way. Although fucking was like with all the little expletives.
Right.
Yeah.
He basically gave a point away. It was just like, you know, how strong do you feel about this? No way or no fucking way.
Journey Bader says urinobibes are actually more common than you think. A surprising number of celebrities do this. Well, a surprising number of celebrities are fucking
Actually.
wrong.
Yeah, they're fucking idiots. Like, Gwyneth Paltrow just killed somebody. Like, it's like, fuck no. We
Right.
covered Gerald Butler drinking snake venom,
Right.
almost killing himself doing it, and then 2 weeks later doing it again.
Squabbly
They're
says
fucking
these memes can
morons.
melt steel beams.
Nice.
Uh,
Celebrities are idiots.
do you guys have a solid tungsten 1.5 kilogram ball? Well, if you don't, You can
do.
now
I
have
got
one.
My left one replaced. Viking egg.
You also get a 1-inch cube with the purchase. It's literally just a tungsten ball. It's $250.
For a
Why?
tungsten ball.
Tungsten.
I don't know. Most important part down here.
A plastic cube.
This thing has 43 reviews. 98% of those reviews are 5-star. And the reviews are amazing.
As I said,
What
they
is
gotta
it
be gold, right?
for?
I cannot
I
possibly...
mean, the reviews are jokes.
Right, exactly. I cannot possibly overstate how cool this item is. I was waffling on whether or not to get it for weeks, because it is rather a lot of money for what is essentially a paperweight, but I'm so glad I decided to make the purchase. Of course, the first thing I did upon receiving it was to drop it straight from its box onto my kitchen floor. It left a circular indentation in my travertine several millimeters deep. Oops. There wasn't a scratch on the sphere, though, so I'm still happy. The sphere came with a nice acrylic base that makes displaying it easily. I can't wait to take it to work on Monday. It's sure to be a conversation starter. More than that, I'm looking forward to having something to roll in my hands when I need to think or fidget. The sphere weighs almost 4 pounds, but it's such an immensely satisfying heft. It's also beautifully milled and has some extremely interesting light refracting properties. And there are a bunch of people who start talking about like how awesomely round it is. It's a sphere, duh. But yeah, I apparently don't have the link on hand for that one because I forgot to copy and paste it. So I will get it here in a little bit for everybody. But it's time to make some real change, right? Once again, here is our petition to try to get to 100 votes. We are at 44. I feel like we lost one.
Yeah, what? We lost like 20.
I'm wondering if people have uncreated their accounts. While going through I don't know what the fucking deal is today, but today, while going through change.org, I had to scroll through like 40 release wolves into the wild petitions, right?
Why?
I have no idea. And they're not like copy and pastes. Everybody made their own, but their reasons were all like, wolves are great for the environment. And it was just a shit ton. Well, I know,
No, they're not.
but why today?
They are.
Depends on where you live.
They absolutely are.
They're really fucking bad in the Midwest. Like, they literally, like, the entire state's, like, biology department, right?
Right, but I mean, like, in their natural habitats, right?
I'm not going to ever agree with you.
In their natural environments where they're supposed to be,
it's not
correct? Right?
It's literally
Their natural environment.
Yeah, exactly.
Took, like, all of the land that actually used to belong to them.
Right, but I mean, they have to have things that they're supposed to eat,
fucking
right?
animals, and animals don't own land. That's
Yeah, thank you, Twisty. Please don't. I'm gonna fucking stop. I'm gonna like leave if we continue that.
Oh my god! Calm the fuck down. We'll move on.
Right.
Jesus, it's wolves. They're dogs. They don't own anything.
But I don't know why there were like 50 of them today. I haven't seen one ever, right? Like, I haven't seen a petition for that ever on this site, but something in the greater scheme of the internet has brought forth wolf petitions.
Wow.
So I don't know what that is, but I didn't grab any of those today.
Are they capturing wolves or something?
No, it is the petitions were like, they don't state where these wolves are going to come from, right? But the petitions are stating, I'm assuming there is a new wolf meme that I am too old to understand.
Yeah, it's got to be.
And then here is the counter petition to keep us to getting to 100. And then here is what I have brought for you, Shayna and Jason, today. What about a petition to make toilets big enough for multiple people to use them at once?
No, never. No, that's fucking disgusting.
That's really fucking gross.
Well, what if I tell?
Yeah, is it share a back? Right? Is it like, does it go in the center of the room and it shares the same back, and so whoever flushes gets the water, and whoever too slow.
Are you guys familiar with that whole thing about how the fire was the center of like an igloo, so that everybody was all around the fire, right?
Oh yeah.
It would be like that for your house. There would be a toilet in the middle of the front room.
Ew.
Our society is divided like never before. People increasingly inhabit echo chambers in which they only encounter facts and opinions that confirm and strengthen their biases. With each passing year, there are fewer face-to-face conversations between strangers. As a routine daily task is performed online, in isolation, rather than by interacting with people in public. The solution is clear. Start making toilets big enough that at least 2 people have to sit on it at once, but preferably more. To get rid of single toilets in public spaces. A shared toilet is a moment in time and opportunity for strangers to see each other as individual human beings and to come together to form empathy for one another. Let's rekindle community spirits in our society and let the dialogues begin. Make toilets big again.
I'm all for attacking echo chambers. This is not how you do it. At all. I'm sorry, but taking a shit next to my uncle isn't going to make me see eye to eye with him in politics.
All right, so Shayna, assume you were going overseas, right? And in this magical country that just started to exist, this is commonplace. Like, everybody sits on the same toilet, even random strangers. Would you participate, yes or no?
No.
No? All right.
Solid.
Dude, I would totally group poop if it was like like a thing, right? Like if that was the thing that it was acceptable, I would totally group poop.
So nasty.
I like Journeyman Bader's. How's it going today?
That's disgusting. That's why community has gone away.
All right, I'm not sure how many signatures we're gonna get for group poop, but here's what else I've got.
Petition should be called.
Exactly. You can use that if you're watching, guy that I told about this. This is a petition to re-legalize consensual dueling.
I want to realize consensual dealing with rapiers.
Exactly. With the proper forms,
I'm actually
of course.
not opposed to that. I think that should be absolutely okay. As long as it's sword battles and they are paying for the cleanup and all that shit.
Exactly.
Right? Like, as long as
right.
there's nobody else who has to pay, including taxpayers, for any part of it.
Right.
Two people just want to end each other. Yeah, do it.
Right.
Including their children, right? Because I don't want the children to have to go, like, fucking get taken care of by the state and shit like that. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Everything has to be handled, right? Like, if you kill somebody, you have to marry their wife and take their children.
Well, I'm not going to make rape marriage a thing.
Well, everybody's consensual in this. Everybody.
Okay, this doesn't exist. None of this exists. This is one dude getting cheated on by his wife. That's pissed.
Let me duel Bill, god damn it!
Yeah, then Bill kills him, steps into dad role.
Exactly.
Everything is fine.
Hashtag resolutions.
Yeah.
All right, and then another language one. This is to change the word chest to chesticles.
I already call it that, so.
The word chest is not grand enough to encompass its true meaning. In order to remedy this burning problem, we must, as a single united people, change the word chest to chesticles. I just love the idea of changing words, because it'll make a bunch of people real mad about it. So,
yeah.
Journeyman Bader says, nope, that's man booties. Words have already been taken. Let's move on. So you're saying that... Well, see, chesticles works for both sex. Journeyman Bader's just doesn't work. Gamer News Party says, I feel like change.org is where normies shit post. That's pretty close.
That's funny.
There's a big thing going on change.org. I know I'm like the only person in the whole world who browses it, but
you're right. Nobody fucking browses that
shit. There's a big thing right now. People are using change.org to post. It's either phishing scams or actual like game hacks. People keep putting like
weird.
Right, like if you're playing like mobile or something like that, some mobile game, it'll like the name will be all like 3rd week March this mobile game's hacks or whatever, and they use the petition to share that around.
Wow.
Like every fourth
That's
petition
crazy.
is that kind of spam, which is it's new to the site, but it's huge. It's happening everywhere.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Shayna, if somebody said, "Hey, sign this petition," and it was some sweet ass mad hacks for Sea of Thieves, would you sign that petition?
That might be the only petition I would sign. I stopped signing all of these petitions a long time ago because they're not doing anything other than filling my inbox.
Right, exactly.
Shit, I don't care about.
Oh, put it on your account for change.org to not do that. That's what I did.
Oh,
yeah,
is there...
but they sell to other things. I've been down that road and I'm over it.
Oh yeah.
Well, you signed because I signed like 2 or 3. They're like ones that were politically affiliated.
Right,
Yeah,
and then you started getting phone calls.
You know, that was years ago now, but I started
doing for the Democratic Party.
So I'm just like, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't trust this site
fair.
selling
That's
my information.
perfectly fair.
I'm blown with fucking spam in my inbox. So.
All right, guys.
And what am I doing?
It's time for today's final story.
All right.
Are you guys familiar
yeah.
with the Mad Monk?
This story is fascinating as fuck.
He is also known
You are?
as Grigory Rasputin.
Rasputin.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So, are you guys familiar with the story of Rasputin?
Yes.
All right. How about you, Jason?
I don't remember it. I used to.
Okay.
Didn't he, like,
Never forget. It's
die weird?
fucking weird. He
All right.
didn't. Well.
Right. There are so many stories about how Rasputin worked, right? So, you've heard the stories. Rasputin, the mad monk who could not die. Many stories about how, his death was under mysterious means, how he possessed some sort of miracle powers, things like that. But I've got an alternative, way cooler conspiracy that I've found. So, it's difficult to nail down the real story of Rasputin. His legacy has been distorted by fictional writers, tall tales, and destruction of his personal documents and records by the Bolsheviks. Born in the village of Pokrovskoye on January 21st of 1869 to a moderately well-off peasant family, Grigory never received any form of real education, as Pokrovskoye was schoolless. He became involved in the early days with the Klisti sect of Christianity, which is a subsection that is believed that you could experience God better through crazy orgies and huge rituals as opposed to penance and abstinence. Although his daughter says that he just investigated the Klisti and rejected its values. Is any of this clicking with you, Jason?
Yeah, is he also the guy that did those weird fucking orgy sex parties where they were like cutting each other open and shit, or is that somebody else?
No, I don't. Well, maybe I don't.
No,
That's the other guy.
Yeah. So, at the age of 19...
No, he was
go ahead.
hired as a doctor. I was gonna say he was hired. He was like a doctor for the king and queen or whatever the hell they're called there.
Yeah. All right.
There was the theory that he was making their son sick because he had hemophilia.
Right.
So there was the idea that he was curing him, and then there's the conspiracy. One of the conspiracies is he was poisoning the kid and then curing him over and over again systematically for years.
Yep.
Which is probably the most likely thing.
Right. So, at the age of 19, he married his wife, Cronovia, and then had 4 children. He eventually traveled the world, leaving his family behind to visit holy sites in Greece, Rome, and Jerusalem. Although he was never a priest or a monk, he was a known religious wanderer. He would trade teachings for homes and food, and he would return to his family home to help with the harvest each year, leaving the rest to his family. Eventually, his wandering caught the attentions of the priests and holy folk of the city of Kazan. They were fascinated by his interpretations of the scriptures. This eventually led him to a meeting with the Tsarina, Alexandra, which is she was the wife to Tsar Nicholas, essentially the Russian king and queen, right? This all happened when he visited St. Petersburg. The exact timing of this meeting is debated, although it is known that he was introduced to the Tsarina by Montenegrin princess Militse, touting his ability as a holy healer. Tsar Nicholas first mentions Rasputin in 1905 in his personal diary, and the Tsarina first got mixed up with Rasputin because she was looking for someone and anything to help her ailing son, Alexei, with his hemophilia. So the story checks out. We're all sitting at about the same level, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's thought that when Grigory was allowed to see the young prince and heir to the throne, the bleeding spell that he was currently under miraculously ended, and Rasputin was indeed a healer with the power of God behind him. It's very possible that this is due to the fact that Rasputin ceased the palace doctor from giving any treatment to the boy, which included aspirin, a blood thinner. So there's
not something you want to give somebody that has blood disease.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
This cemented Rasputin's rise in the social ladder. He began enjoying his fame that this brought him. This also is about the time that rumors of sexual depravity began to surface around Rasputin, prompting even the Tsar to be asked why he would associate with someone like that. Although these rumors would not have a long-term effect on old Rasputin, as fate would have it. Once again, the young prince was injured, and the hemophiliac condition began to threaten the boy's life. It looked as if the boy was going to die. Rasputin was then again called and simply replied in a letter to the Tsarina, "God has seen your tears and heard your prayers. Do not grieve, the little one will not die. Do not allow the doctors to bother him too much," which, thus, again, prevented the application of aspirin, which likely saved the boy's life.
I never heard the aspirin thing.
Right. This is all my most recent research on Rasputin, right? After this, it seemed that everything was coming up Rasputin. He had fame, influence, women, anything you could ever want. But it turns out that hate flowed around Rasputin at every turn. The church hated him because they claimed he was spreading false doctrines. The nobility hated him because he had more access to the Tsar and Tsarina than they did. Peasant folk hated him because he was very loyal to the empire, and people at that time were very much not. Even the military had beef, because this happened to be the beginning of World War I, and he denounced Russia's involvement in war, thus taking away the jobs that the military had just organized for, right?
Right.
So while the Tsar was away at war, it gave the Mad Monk full access to the Tsarina. Some would say exclusive access. That's a huge rumor. There's no verification that anything like that happened, but that is definitely a rumor that is, I guess, like a legend at that point, right? We'll never have the real answer. The final straw was Rasputin offering advice on the appointment and dismissal of public church officials. And rumors spreading that the Tsarina and Rasputin were in the pay of the Germans, a group of nobles at the court led by Felix Yusupov, determined to resolve the appalling damage inflicted by Rasputin upon the monarchy by arranging his murder. On December 30th, 1916, Yusupov invited Rasputin to dine at his home. After a heavy meal, complete with wine and dessert, all supposedly heavily laced with poison, which was said to have been what was it? Cyanide, right? The men looked on as amazingly, Rasputin showed no symptoms that the poison was having any effect on him. Now, there's this part itself is almost a mini conspiracy. Lots of reports that are found say that Rasputin never even ate anything, which caused Yusupov to panic and shoot him. Right? He's like, my plans have been foiled. Kapow! Right? It's also theorized that Grigory had a chlorohydria, which is or it's also called hypochlorohydria, which is a state where the production of hydrochloric acid in the gastric secretions of the stomach and other digestive organs is absent or low, respectively, which may have caused him to digest very slowly, meaning he would have died from cyanide just later.
Oh, shit.
Right. The men proceeded to shoot Rasputin, who, according to legend, still drew breath after a barrage of bullets and died only after he was thrown into an ice-cold river wrapped in a carpet. Other accounts say that that didn't even get him, and that he froze to death after climbing out of the ice. Now, that is one of the ways that this is well known, right? It's not necessarily the accepted story, but it is one of the ones that is well known. There's a couple of pieces of data that are disputed highly. One being the end of his life, being that he died first time they shot him, and that he never even saw any of it coming. So here are the parts of the story that are also more highly disputed, if not outright proven wrong. Rasputin's body had a bullet hole in his forehead, and this is verifiable through the autopsy photos that you can still look at. I can't show them on Twitch because it's considered gore. But if you go look up, I don't think I can. I can say
well, can you send it to us so that we can look at it?
Right, just Google, right? Rasputin autopsy photos.
Yeah,
very easy to find. So he had a bullet hole in his forehead, which would prevent drowning, right? The police investigation of his death officially only took 2 days, and the murderers, Yusupov, who claimed the murder, was never really punished. Officially, the autopsy report says he was killed by an execution-style shot to the forehead. And the bullet that killed him was a non-jacketed lead round, which is very much different than the guns reportedly used by Rasputin's supposed killers. Russian firearms at the time didn't use non-jacketed rounds. In fact, at that time, all countries but one didn't use that kind of round. So who did it? Right? Here is the actual conspiracy that I'm bringing you guys. The country of Britain may have had Rasputin killed.
I would not disbelieve
why?
something like that.
Well, let me get into that.
Get on with it.
Meet Oswald Rayner. Oswald was born in Smethwick, the son of Thomas Rayner, Daper in Soho Street with his wife Florence. This is in England. Between 1907 and 1910, Rayner studied modern languages at Oriel College in Oxford. During his time in Oxford, Rayner formed a close friendship with a man named Felix Yusupov, the same Yusupov who claimed to have killed Rasputin, who was also enrolled at the same university. During 1916, Rayner was living with Yusupov, and by the outbreak of the First World War, as Rayner was highly proficient in French, German, and Russian, he was working as an advisor for Yusupov. But what Yusupov
Hmm.
also didn't know is that Raynor had been hired by MI6.
Motherfucker.
So not only
James Bond.
right, exactly. And guess what that one country that didn't use jacketed rounds was? It was Britain, right?
Yeah, we know that.
So Raynor, when he died, destroyed all of his personal evidence. So proof of this conspiracy cannot happen, right? He destroyed everything, including all of his MI6 documents. What they do have is some stuff that they, haven't released or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
Although, one thing that has gone public, there is a secret memo that was found from Raynor's St. Petersburg contacts. And the memo reads, "Our objective has been clearly achieved. Reaction to the demise of dark forces has been well received by all. Although a few questions have already been asked about wider involvement, Raynor is attending to loose ends." MI6, really cool fact, used the term dark forces as the code name for Rasputin.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
that's when you become a real legend, right?
Right? Yeah.
But why? So why would Britain kill Rasputin? The answer is actually really plausible. It was to prevent the Russians from backing out of World War I. The Tsar was planning, the war was not going well for Russia.
That actually does make a lot of sense.
Right. They had already lost 1.5 million soldiers to Germany. Yeah. And it's because the Tsar and his military advisors were apparently terrible.
Makes sense.
The Tsar was planning on making peace with Germany, mostly due to Rasputin's musings. Rasputin's death ceased the conversation about pulling out, and Russian conflict continued at least until the time that the U.S. was able to get involved in the war. So if this MI6 agent killed Rasputin, then why does no one know about it? And that's because Yusupov took credit for the killing because it benefited him greatly. Yusupov was attempting to clear Tsar Nicholas's name by removing who everyone thought was the problem with who was manipulating the Tsar and Tsarina. Turns out none of that was right, and after Rasputin died, a revolution started, and they kicked the Tsar and Tsarina to the curb. And by that, I mean shot them all in a bunker. Right.
Yep.
But that is one of the funnest conspiracies I've ever gotten to research, right? And it was just,
pretty cool.
I found one line in a document that mentioned this guy. And then I put all of this other information together about who he was
That's
working
crazy.
with, who he found, right? Like the fact that one of the articles stating that he was an MI6 agent did not also mention that the execution was done, or that the killing was done in an execution style. That was something about an entire article about the problems with the police report for Rasputin's death. So there you go, everybody. You can have my homegrown conspiracy theory that I think quite a few other people are interested in, and it's pretty damn plausible.
Well done.
Yeah.
All right.
It's really fascinating. All of that is the underpinnings of what sort of led the perfect environment for Stalinism to rise was coming out of that, the power that
Right.
the Tsars had, and
Right.
that's this all really fascinates me.
Do you guys have any questions about this that I can try and go through?
I don't know if I do. Like, I don't know what to ask.
Yeah, I was just wondering if anything seemed like out of place, if there's like a question that you thought of. If not, it means I covered it well enough, right?
Did any of our viewers have any questions?
Did the autopsy
The
recover the
autopsy?
bullet and say what caliber it was? Yes, it actually matched the police's Weber pistol. Let me find that exact caliber here. Or Webley, not Weber. Webley. It is a 45. 45 jacketless web. Or jacketless round, lead round. Specifically, that was what the police and MI6 used. It was the official Britain agent gun in World War I. Also, does this not sound like the best plot for a James Bond movie?
It sounds like a great plot.
Right.
Maybe not James Bond. It could be a
Yeah, fuck
separate
James
movie.
Bond, just MI6.
Journeyman Vader.
Yeah, it would be pre-James Bond.
Right, exactly. But I mean, you could do, I guess, 001 or whatever. You could go back in time and just put like the predecessor to Bond. Journeyman asks, how common was the Webley pistol at the time, considering it was during wartime? How likely would it be for a civilian to have it? As far as I know, the Webley revolver was a British gun. It is place of origin was the British Empire. It was the service rifle for the British from 1887 to 1963. So a long goddamn time, right? They used this gun. It is possible somebody else could have had it. They're among the most powerful top-rate revolvers ever produced. The 4.55 caliber Webley is no longer in military service. Well,
the thing about him being shot in the head, though, obviously, but the whole idea was that was the last thing. The stuff that I'd read was that's what finally killed him. He'd been shot, was shot at, but didn't miss, stabbed. The
right.
cyanide was the first thing. So it wasn't like none of that was suggesting that the gunshot to the head wasn't what killed him. If you look at the autopsy, there's other injuries. Like a gunshot wouldn't cause your eye to be bloody and like to the point where it's closed, would it?
Right. Well,
there was more to that than just getting shot in the head from far away. Like,
yeah.
You know.
Well, right after you execute someone, if you're trying to make it look like a scuffle, you beat up the corpse, right?
Right. I guess how detailed was the autopsy, because you can tell post-mortem.
Right. I want to say it was as detailed as the local town autopsy guy in World War I Russia was capable of doing.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
That may or may not have been able to also read.
Right, exactly. Yeah, totally. I'm just thinking about ways that an MI6 agent wouldn't be the cause of death, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all we've got for today. It's about 5 minutes before 9 o'clock. About a good time to wrap up. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Shayna and Jason, how was your guys' first reunion episode?
Sounds great.
Good.
Excellent.
We only almost got in an argument once.
Well, and now
a little trolly, and that topic's another really personal one for me. So it's hard for me to leave feelings aside.
Right.
Also,
and,
I do know a lot about
I just don't care about feelings, so like I'm just an asshole.
We'll add wolf relocation to the list of things that I don't care to talk about. Right. Right on the show. Yeah. Right. It's not a thing we.
Shayna's triggers.
Right.
Wait, what was the other thing that we can't talk about?
What? Yes.
So
I don't care.
I don't think there was anything else. I just got upset with you with that over the art thing.
Right.
No, yeah.
Be a little. Artists. I guess it's just be a little more sensitive when I'm saying something that does involve my feelings, because I do know where you're coming from, and you get to a point where you sometimes overdo it with my level of sensitivity is all.
Yeah.
Right? And
and that's for the people watching the show.
I know that, and mostly I can handle
Right.
it, but sometimes
And because I'm an asshole. It's
Right.
like both of those.
You're a little bit of an asshole, but I love you.
Yeah, a little bit. That's hilarious.
So gamer, feel free to hit us up on Twitter. I know that you've got my Facebook. We also do have our Facebook, and then we can take Twitch whispers, right? That would totally work too if you want to send in suggestions for conspiracies.
It's called a Twitch whisper.
A twisper.
Why is it called the Twisper?
Yeah, exactly. Twitch, get on that.
A twisper. That's way better. I agree.
Right. I expect a bit reward
Twispering.
for the twisper.
Right. Twitch award.
Excellent. Do so.
If you want to know, also, I'm actually, I think that this thing that you just dug up has like a possibility of being true.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I like it. It's for one of the first times I've ever given like a conspiracy theory that I'm like, shit, I believe this now. I've done it.
Well, there's.
Did you? It's actually a conspiracy theory, or is this something you put together? I thought.
So, like I said, this is something that I conspiracy theoried in my head, and now I'm pretty sure I believe this.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see. I can't be the first person that's come up with this, but I definitely am glad that I was able to put it together like this. So.
Yeah, me too, man. I liked it.
What was the other thing? Oh yeah, everybody, feel free to tune in to this Twitch channel tomorrow at 9. I will be debating against someone on the topic of Hollow Earth, which we've covered here on